good.
Go ahead, Steve.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our November 2nd Planning Commission and Board meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Before we start, I want, Craig, would you do the invocation?
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this time that we can gather together. Thank you, Lord, that you allow us to have these positions of authority, and you put these gentlemen in positions, Lord, where they are called upon to use the skills and the abilities that you've gifted them with to serve their fellow man. Thank you for their service. Thank you for this place where the work of the county, the business of the county can take place. Thank you for the men and women who serve alongside and serve their fellow man accordingly. Thank you, Lord, for women and men of law enforcement who help us every single day to take good care of us. Father, to provide this opportunity that we have to gather together and to think about what's in the best interest of all of our citizens and do that in safety and security. Father, thank you for that. Help us never to take it for granted. Lord, I think about all the things that are going on across the world. We pray for peace. Father, we pray for the settlement of your spirit in the heart of man. Father, I pray that you would give protection and security where it's needed, that you would bring healing. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Craig. As we all know, we have tremendous friction in the world. Our government in the United States needs direction. This affects us all the way down to the county. In church, I heard a special this last Sunday, and the song was "The Anchor Holds." In Rankin County, the anchor holds. You listen to that song, you'll understand what I'm saying. All right, let's go into our planning meeting. We have public comments to start with.
We don't have them on the plan commission. Unless you want to do them now. I
Okay.
think some of them are speaking in public comments, so you just go straight into
Okay.
business or whatever.
All right, all these will be addressed as we go through our agenda, I
Some
assume.
of them, yeah.
Okay.
Other than maybe two.
All right, I think, yeah, we do have two. Is this Monterey Road issue that we want to have a public comment on now?
We can do that, Steve.
All right, Angela Adcock or Lisa Martin, would either of you like to speak? And, no, okay, thank you. All right, well, we'll continue. All right, we have called it to order, consideration and approval of September 28th minutes.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Calhoun makes a motion, Morrison Daniel Cross seconds it. Any other discussion? That was a
Can we just start over?
yeah.
Let's go back over. Make that motion again, Brad.
Motion.
I'm gonna second it. What about that?
Okay. Brad Calhoun makes motion, Daniel Cross seconds the
I'm
motion.
gonna sit closer to you.
There you go. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, under new considerations, Dylan Walker rezoning, request on
How about
Cooper
old
Road.
business?
Well, if y'all want to talk about old business.
There is none.
Okay, there is no old business, Brad. So, Dylan Walker
All right, so,
rezoning.
Mr. Walker, called this morning and asked to be taken off of today's planning agenda. He wants to be moved to the 11:30 meeting. So we won't review that today.
11:30 would be the
The
end
next.
of November, not 11:30 today.
No,
Say,
I'm
this
sorry.
is 9 o'clock meeting, man.
All right. All right, Stephen Henderson.
All right, Stephen Henderson is requesting a conditional use permit at 115 Ed Span Road. This is a 5.20 acre parcel. It's zoned RE1. Mr. Henderson is proposing, he's seeking the conditional use permit to operate a police and pet dog training facility on this property. It's a 5.20 acre parcel. It's zoned RE1. That's an aerial view of the property. He lives in the home that's surrounded by this property. And this is his site plan. He's proposing construction of a 4,224 square foot metal building. The facility will contain 40 dog kennels with the potential of 5 additional kennels to be used for grooming. The building will have a training workspace and 2 fully enclosed areas where the dogs will be housed. These areas will be air conditioned with insulation and soundproofing. Sonic bark limiters will be installed, and all dogs will have a bark collar for additional sound management. He shows hard surface parking along the front of the building, and then there's an additional gravel area. The green on his site plan shows an existed wooded area that will remain and serve as a screen to the adjoining properties. He lists his hours of operation. The proposed hours are Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And let's see. Oops. This is just a rendering of what the building will look like, and the sign. These are views of that property. That's his home that he lives in. And his mother's going to be building a future home on this property. These are surrounding properties.
All right. This is for information right now, but being he's the only one under this section, and he's on the next section. While he's standing there, can we go ahead and handle the setting of this public hearing?
Sure, if you'd like. That's correct. If you
All
have
right.
any questions, though, he'd be glad to
He is-
answer any.
Stephen has worked with you a
He
lot,
has.
and I think it's fine-tuned to the point we can set it. I don't have anything. If any of you guys have anything, okay. I make a motion that we set this public hearing for December 15th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Second.
All right. I've made the motion. Bishop seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, we have another listing under setting public hearings.
That one's got.
Is that the same
We-
one that's
we
pulled off?
removed that
Okay,
one,
that one's
yeah.
pulled off too. Okay. All right, let's go to site plan.
All right, so the first item under site plan architectural review is for County Line Baptist Church at 1132 County Line Road. The property is on the corner of County Line and Earl Burke Road. That's an aerial view. The church demolished the existing sanctuary, and you can see the fellowship hall behind that building. The new church, the new sanctuary will be built in the same location as the old one. This property is zoned A2. This is their site plan. You can see the existing life center and the new sanctuary in front. It will be attached to the existing fellowship hall by a 5-foot hallway. There won't be any changes to the existing parking lot. It will remain as is. These are elevations of the church. It's going to be all brick. And that's a color rendering of the building. Mr. Parker, I have that he reviewed the drainage information and had no comments. That's correct on this one? Yeah, okay. So, I'm not sure if anybody's here today, if you have any questions or not. Anybody representing the church?
Is there anyone?
And I do have a couple of other things. The person who drew the plans for the church was just a home plan designer, and state law requires anything, a commercial building over 5,000 square feet to be sealed by an architect or an engineer. The first plans we received were not, and the church is 5,500 square feet, so it should meet that criteria. So we've been working with the church to get finalized drawings that are sealed by an engineer, because that home plan designer can't draw commercial commercial plans. This is the third set that we've received from that designer, and so the State Board of Architecture is looking into all of that. But anyway, if it's approved today, would you please approve it contingent upon receipt of two pages of the plan that we still haven't received? The engineer's working on it. He just didn't have it ready by today, and we didn't want to prolong the church to the next meeting.
I'll make that motion with the contingency that we've received the final 2
Pages.
pages that were needed.
Second, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Brad Calhoun, a second by Jared Morrison. Any other discussion? Tim, what does a no comment mean?
No comment.
That means no comment?
You reviewed them and had no
Oh,
comments.
if I review, I had no comment, so basically what that means is they're putting it back, there was an existing building there,
Yeah.
there was an impervious surface, so it didn't change any drainage, so I have no comments as to things they need to change. When I say I have no comments, that means it's.
Okay. I have a question that has nothing to do with, other than the church. What happened to the old church? Did it just get old? I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't
it was old.
it wasn't
Yeah,
like a
it-
tornado or anything.
No.
That, the church I go to is nearly 200 years old. The main church, 1830 something. And I love that old smell of a church that still has the wood in it. But anyhow, that has nothing, this is beautiful, and I congratulate whoever has got this done. All in favor of our motion and second? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, so the next site plan architectural review is for Monterey Food Mart on Highway 469 North. Nate Malik is purchasing 2.47 acres of this 39-acre parcel to construct a small grocery store. The property is zone C2. That's an aerial view of that property. And this is just an overall site plan showing the 39 acres. The new grocery store will sit next to the Dollar General on the corner of Monterey and 469. And this is the site plan for the store. The building will be located to the rear of the property. It's going to be a 4,159 square foot building. There will be 5 gas pumps. The parking lot will be concrete, and the building will be brick on all 4 sides. Oops. All right, so these are the elevations. Like I said, the building will be all brick. Mr. Parker has the drainage plans, but I don't think he's had an opportunity to review them yet. So if approved, we need to approve contingent upon his review.
So it's no comment right now.
Yes, sir. And this is his landscape plan. He shows a good detailed landscape plan. There, Mr. Malik is here today, and the realtor is also here with him, Chris Ford, if y'all have any questions for them. These are views of that property on 469 North. This is where the Dollar General is.
Where's the other gas station? Is there one?
Right there, right there. He was looking at the parking lot then,
I,
almost.
It's right beside, this is going right beside the
No,
other gas station?
no, real close there. You got the service station and you got the,
Dollar General.
Dollar General,
Yeah, then it's gonna be the other side of the Dollar General.
right, where I assume, right
yes,
there.
and so these are on that property now, the big piece.
Yeah. All right.
And these are surrounding.
See, right there.
Yeah, I got you.
That's, and the Dollar General right behind that station, right beside.
Oops, sorry. Yeah. So y'all have any questions for them?
Meets the parking requirements.
It does. He actually had to have 40 spaces, and he got them.
No, it'll clean up the corner, make it look a lot better.
All right,
No questions?
this is in District 1.
Right.
Jared, do you have a recommendation?
No, I'm fine with everything.
All
To
right, do I have a
approve the site
motion?
Make a
Got
motion.
yeah.
All right. Jared makes a motion.
Second.
Brad seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I did have one question. Have we heard from anybody out there about anything?
No, sir.
I've
Hadn't got
not
any
heard.
calls on anything, but you know, it didn't have to be posted or anything because it fits in that zone.
That's right.
The grocery store does,
Yeah, 'cause I
small
never saw
grocery
a
store.
sign. I just curious. I figured somebody'd be calling, but you're right, there's no sign. It'll be a surprise.
Okay,
A nice surprise.
under, sign review,
Okay, so this is for Kelly's Green. She was granted a conditional use permit several months ago, and y'all wanted to review the sign. And so this is her sign. It's gonna be orange, it appears, and then, it will be supported by a brick column. The, outer perimeter will be gray, and then the interior will be white. It's gonna sit, according to the site plan, 11 feet off the front property line. It's 8 feet tall. It meets the sign regulations, and just wanted to get y'all's approval or get your thoughts.
Looks good to me.
Okay.
Is it a lit sign?
No.
Do we need to vote on
all
this?
right, yeah,
Do we need
do
to
we
vote
need
on
to
this?
vote on this, Renee?
Yes, I'd like to see it on our records, but what we want to try to do here, gentlemen, is kind of a little bit make it a precedent that we're gonna review these signs pretty much every
Yeah,
time.
yes, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the Kelly's Green sign on,
It's the Kelly's Greens orange sign.
okay,
Yeah,
orange
I'll
sign,
make
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Jay makes a motion to approve this request for a sign. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Brad seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
They didn't show it on that plan, but it will have to be landscaped around the perimeter, the bottom, the base, all the way around in the RCD, so she'll do that as
Oh.
well, so it'll look nice.
On these roads, and I'm talking about major traffic roads, I like the idea of the owner having their own signage and maintaining it. We have the ability to negotiate with them when they put the sign up and as we go along and maintain it. A year or two ago, we had issues, heavy weighted issues on both sides about the big signs. And I like the idea of the owner-owned signs and businesses that advertise for themselves. That's all I'm saying about that. All right?
President, we're now ready for the nuisance property consideration section of the Planning Commission agenda. The first item under nuisance considerations is, I will butcher these names, so I apologize in advance. Dung Lee and Teresa Gwynn, nuisance property at Castlewoods Boulevard. This is a District 2 property. I'll ask Mr. Lee or Ms. Gwynn to step forward at this time to address the board, and Renee will demonstrate with the photos. That public hearing is open.
All right, so this is the old Castlewoods Golf Course. We get these complaints every year. It was reported August 24th about the tall weeds and the uncut grass. The certified mail was returned, unclaimed. These pictures were taken August 24th. And then these are the new pictures that were taken on the 1st. It appears there might have been a little bit that has been cut, but Kathy said that it was either the neighbor or maybe the HOA. We haven't had any contact from the actual owner of the property.
And that was part of the golf course?
It was the old
Yeah,
golf
so,
course.
so that's the old, on the other side of Castlemans Boulevard. Here's the problem with it, and I've tried to explain this to a lot of the homeowners. Back in, I guess, the 70s and early 80s, a lot of people built homes on that area thinking they were buying golf course property, which they were at the time. So sometime maybe in the middle 2000s, they closed that side down, and now it's really just undeveloped land, so it's just really open area, right? So the people get upset because they say, well, I had a beautiful view of the 7th fairway, and now I've got just trees and woods. Well, at the end of the day, this whole thing is a wooded park area, right? So determining whether or not this is a nuisance property or not, to me, is really a gray area because it's undeveloped land.
I
It's
mean,
not
would
a golf
the
course
HOA be
anymore.
responsible for it?
Well, the HOA don't have it, so it's in these private
Golf
people's name, but the HOA doesn't cover it.
I got you.
So it's not inside their scope right there on that north 9 side of it. So it's undeveloped, so it's a weird area. So I mean, I get it where people say, well, I used to have a beautiful creek or something that ran behind me, and now I have just woods. Well, at the end of the day, I don't know that the people that own it have a responsibility to make it a golf course manicured area because
Right.
they don't, it's not a golf course.
They
Not
can't
developed
let it-
land.
They
Yeah,
can't let it grow
so
up.
even though it's grown up, I'm not sitting there saying that could make it cleaner, make it look better. Now, what had happened over the years, and we've asked them to come in, we'd ask them to continue to cut it and keep it cut down a little bit, and they do that. But I don't know really where we have the right to say to these people that you have to maintain this as a golf course site or keep it cut down. It's a weird area for me. So I get it that we want the areas behind the homes cleaned up nice. I mean, my mother-in-law lives on one of these holes, and behind it, it sits there on that same point to where it's run down. There's trees broken. There's actually a large culvert that's come apart, and it's affecting the drainage, but it's on private property.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff's out there. There's a ton of stuff you could make them do.
I mean,
I think we just asked them to cut
Well,
along
it's
the
10
road
10 golf
there,
holes.
the
So I don't know how many
boulevard and
acres that
stuff where
would
you
be.
can
So
see in
probably
Castlewood.
3,600
Previously, the prior
yards
owner
of
did
course
that.
around it. So I mean,
I mean, is
I
it
couldn't tell you.
developable? Can you put homes
It's a
on it?
flood
it's
zone.
a
It's
lot
a
of it. A
flood
lot of it's
zone.
in a flood zone, so it's undeveloped. It's really, I don't want to say it's useless land, but I mean to come in and develop it into the flood zone and fix the drainage issues that come out costs millions.
Yeah.
So it's going to sit there forever. The question is, and we've tried to make, and we've done things to where we made previous owners that owned it to go in and continue to cut it and maintain it as
Well,
best
she
they
said
could.
we've asked them to cut just along the road.
Sure. Yep.
That
And
seems reasonable.
that does to me too. And the people that live on that course want it cleaned up and stuff, whatever. But I just don't know that you can make a
I don't
person.
know if you
I
can.
mean, I guess.
Maybe somebody go plant some trees over there.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
well, I mean,
That's some pine
and there's trees
Right.
coming up, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so I don't know, Slay. You may can tell us. I don't know what we
A
can
lot of
do as far as.
cypress growing on it, you know, it's
I
lovely.
mean,
There's nothing to add to what Daniel just said. I think he's dead on. I think what's happened here is it, in this context, in its location, does it meet our nuisance consideration? Does it meet our nuisance ordinance? Is it property that is affecting public health, safety, welfare? I think the answer to that probably is not.
I mean,
Unless there's an
I
aesthetic
and
issue.
I guess that's kind of my thing. There is an aesthetic issue, but the aesthetic issue is compared to a golf course
Yeah.
setup. So it's undeveloped land.
That's right.
That if you live next to some woods, this is what
Yep.
it would look like on the same piece of property. It's not going to
Yes.
look like a golf course because it's not a golf course. My personal thing is, would I love to see it cleaned up? 100%, 1,000%. I love to, but I don't know the authority of the board to say clean it up to what degree. Bush hog at one time, and what authority do we have to say? Because if this is the case, we could go into anybody else's personal property, I think, and say, you have woods here. I want it to be slicked out, looking like a beautifully manicured area. On say, well, if I walked into some of your acreage, how many acres you got there? A bunch.
Oh, two.
But if I walked one, yeah. If I walked up the neighboring property and said, look, I don't like your trees on your
I
property,
understand totally.
would you cut it?
That's,
I don't know where we're at on that.
This is something that I'm with Daniel, I'm with all of y'all. It would be nice, and it's according on which lens you're looking through. A biologist would say that looks really nice to me
They
for
want that
quail or
for
whatever.
habitat.
But in
You're
my
not-
district, we have a lot
Yep.
of land
Right.
that were even in pine trees, and they, for about 5 or 6 years after they have a cutover, it looks like a bomb went off.
Right.
But another 5 or 6 years, the growth comes back. You'll have trees and things, and they'll shadow this bushy area. I don't know what the landowner's plans are, but I do know that I cannot go down that road because I probably have as much of that as I have that are places manicured.
And the hard part is, it's in the neighborhood, right? It's in the
I
smack
understand
dab
that.
middle of Castlewoods, and it's always people built around it, and their property values are affected because it used to be golf course property, and now it's not. It's just abandoned.
Well, Daniel, has it been on
Grounds.
the market before?
Yeah, I mean, they've tried to
So
sell it
it's
for a
changed.
long time. The reason they had a hard time selling it, I believe, because there's not a lot you can do. It's in a floodplain. So originally what they said they were going to do, they were going to take it, clear it all out, and develop it and put houses in there. But it's in a floodplain, and the amount of money you got to put into that joker to get it up would probably outrise your profit
Well, if it's
margin
not
and stuff like that.
marketable, I mean, if it's for sale, I mean, of course, that's between the owner and the HOA or whatever. The
Yeah.
HOA could buy it and make it a
don't have
park or
HOA.
whatever.
Hey, they could. Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, you could do that into some kind of little
Yeah.
park,
Can,
park
some
area. You
point.
could, but
That
It hadn't
needs to
been
happen,
flipped in
there
a
needs to be
while.
a discussion.
I just don't know where our authority is to say cut it to what and how to cut it. I mean,
I tend to agree, Daniel. I
There's
think what
nothing
we
that
do,
says you can't abandon a golf course, is
no, sir. So the property owners are able to do whatever they can, so long as it doesn't rise to the level of a public health, safety, welfare consideration. And I think that's what Daniel's pointing out. I don't think we're there. It's not that this property is being allowed to affect public health, public safety, okay? So there are private issues that can be addressed. If the property owners surrounding this property feel that strongly about the condition of the property, there are avenues that they can take, short of coming to this board and asking for help, but they are welcome to go and conduct a private nuisance consideration in front of the county court.
all right. So,
That's where
all
that
right,
would
so,
happen.
so let me ask you this here: Are we better to push it up, just straight send it to justice court right now, and let them make an actual ruling or determination on it?
No, sir.
I can't make a determination on it one way or
No,
the
sir.
other. And again,
Because we not declaring.
You
it a
guys would
nuisance.
have to find that there's a public health, safety, welfare consideration. I don't think that there is.
so the only other argument you would say on that would be the live animals or
Yes.
things that live into this area
Right.
that wasn't normally there, and
Something
it's
that's not
mostly-
before us today. We haven't seen anything in
A lot
the
of it,
photos.
a lot of it's aesthetics,
hunting and
right?
everything.
Where a
It
person
is.
sits on their back patio, they used to look down number 2
I
fairway,
understand.
and now they look at a bunch of just fallen trees and
Yes,
overgrown
sir.
brush. So,
And if they can successfully
Sell it.
argue to a court
You'd have to
uphill
have a dozer.
Yeah.
that a court needs to take action and require the property owners to address the condition, they're welcome to do that. I think we should not exercise authority under these circumstances as a Board of Supervisors and use our authority to declare this a nuisance when it's not. Okay?
yeah, so it's more of a civil litigation thing now between
Absolutely.
them
Can-
and the personal.
Can we ask that they maintain a certain amount of land joining the road? Like,
So many feet,
yeah,
maybe feet.
It appears to me that they
that
have.
looks like, I don't know who did it,
Yeah,
but
Kathy said the neighbors are cutting
Neighbors
down because
are
it
cutting.
borders their
Yeah.
property.
All right, so and I do want to add one thing. If you're coming down Castlewoods Boulevard, when you get close to Castlewoods Baptist Church, it's right there. You know, it's hilly where you come down through several of those. There is a large pipe that drains off our public roadway, and I know we've been out there and looked at it before, where it comes through the middle of this golf course, trying to get to. At the end of the day, Mill Creek cuts through this also. So almost anything in our area, Mill Creek touches in some
Yeah.
form or fashion, right? So it does cut through this area. But part of that pipe that's collapsed is now just a large ravine that's the width of this room. Now that's there. That's taking the runoff water off Castlewoods Boulevard. That's through that side of that. So there is some issues in that section where it does affect the public roadway.
Yeah.
That if it becomes clogged or whatever, you're gonna lose our road on that same point.
Right.
Right now, it's not there, but it's headed to that spot.
Yeah.
So just for note on, I don't know how you wanna tie that into anything else. I was thinking maybe more or less if you wrote a letter and it just kind of explain the parameters, we go out and take a peek at it. I know you and I and Mike's been out there before.
Yep.
And put our eyes on it. But again, maybe to follow up with a letter to them, just explaining the parameters of everything, kind of what's there. I don't know if that would help or not, or do you think that's an
No, I
idea?
think it would be appropriate, assuming that we can make contact with property owners to remind them, especially concerning that stormwater piece of the puzzle here. The county certainly does have an interest, Daniel, in making sure that stormwater is not prevented from its natural course, especially if it's going to start impacting the public road. So that would definitely be an interest that this board would want to take. Now, that could be a nuisance consideration, but most of the time, that's just a straight up road passability, public safety
Yeah,
consideration.
and that's in one section of it. But we also probably need just the great Scott Berry to lay hands on it
Yeah,
at some
absolutely.
point. You know, I mean, if we can
step
You're
one.
saying you're glad to pass the buck on
I'm
him?
just saying
Is
that
it?
he's sitting back here and if Scott can lay his hands on it and he may
He
have
needs to be
the
in
right
the
motion.
ditch.
There ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah, January 2.
January 2, I'll meet him out there, that point where he needs to go.
So what I would suggest, gentlemen, is that we close that public hearing and that the minutes reflect no action was necessary and no action was taken. That would be my request.
But I would like to do that better if we could, just
Yes,
for
sir.
the file side of everything and just put some eyes on
Renee,
it.
are they continuing to cut the grass along the road?
This is neighbors that have come.
Somebody
The
is.
neighbors,
Well,
Kathy
in
said
the
are
area
doing
that
it.
they cut around the boulevard, the HOA pays to cut the boulevard around the roadway. So they're not cutting anything. It's more the people that are around it that just kind of
Well, I
maintain it.
think if nothing else, we ought to make them do that.
Yes.
I mean,
But all they're gonna do probably, Jay, which would help if they say something and clip it, not actually mow it because it's so big. You're gonna have to have a bush hog.
and it's almost to a point now where bush hogging, I don't know that,
That's
and
right.
I know zero about bush
And
hogging, but I
mulching.
don't know if you can get into that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I wasn't talking about the whole thing, I was talking about the
Well, that's what I'm
road.
saying, they're gonna do that strips. They can,
all right.
So I've got my
Bush hog,
marching
yeah.
orders. I know what I need to do.
Okay.
Unless the board has further inquiry, it'd be time for us to close that public hearing
That's what I'm skid
and let the
steer.
minutes reflect no
Bush
actions
hog.
taken.
Would you like to
Somebody-
speak?
Well, come
Craig,
on up
can they
here.
speak?
Come on.
How big,
Morning.
can I ask, how many acres is involved in this track?
I don't know that it was 9 holes of golf. So let's just say it's 3,700 yards because the golf course was 7,000. So let's say it's 3,600 yards of golf course property. But there was miscellaneous property throughout the thing that wasn't tied to the course, the creek where it ran through it and stuff like that. There's a storage barn at the back end of the whole
Pretty
deal.
big,
So
Yes,
however
sir.
many
What
yards
was your
it would
name?
be. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Gary and Joanne Massey. We live at 336 Woodlands Drive in Castlewood. Just speaking, I don't have a golf course lot or former golf course lot. We just live in Castlewoods. Driving down the boulevard, I mean, it's right across from the clubhouse. We're only asking that area, say 100, 200 feet back from Castlewoods Boulevard, right there across from the clubhouse is, I mean, it just looks terrible compared with the rest of the.
Sure.
Not asking it be maintained like a golf course, we're just asking that, the 8-foot tall weeds be cut and the giant dead tree that's sitting there may be taken down, but we're not asking,
Sure.
Okay,
hey, make this another golf course lot. I mean, like I said, my interest just is, I pass it multiple times a day and it looks terrible.
can we send them a letter and tell them what the interest is? And the county, I think, supports keeping property up to where the properties around it do not devalue. We don't have the authority to go in there and say, you will do this on your private property. But if they understand that the county favors them maintaining a certain buffer area, there probably will be some things in the future that they would like for the county to favor them. I find it hard to be in favor of something for them if they're not going to help maintain the atmosphere around them. And I think Scott is probably 100% on board with this. I would suggest that we, through our avenues, write them and tell them what our wishes are. I also think that you have an avenue in county court to litigate it.
Yeah.
And if we do what we can do and it doesn't happen, I would suggest you do that.
Yeah, and I agree totally what you're saying. You're 100% correct. I drive the same pathway every single day, and I don't like it either. I just want to be sure that what we do, the actions we take, and that's why I was going to have Mr. Slade come out, write him a letter on the same point, that we're inside our legal bounds. I mean, I'd love to see it cleaned up. The tree, I know the tree you're talking about, all that stuff. It needs to be cleaned. I agree with you. I just want to be sure we're legally right on what we do. I don't want to do anything that's not what we can legally do, and that's why taking him out there and letting him see whatever kind of penmanship he can place toward those folks will probably do the best help we can do.
I totally understand. There's 20 acres that I drive right past. It's near my mailbox. that I can see from the front of my property it went for about 5 years unmaintained. And I contacted the property owners. For the last 20 years, I have clipped it and even put ryegrass on it, every year. And, you know, and I ask myself at times, why are you doing this? Well, it's because my wife and I have to see it every day. And I understand exactly what you're saying. I think we can handle it. I don't think we can handle all of it, but I think what you said, between all of our resources, we can encourage them to at least run a bush hog on the area that's out in front of, I don't want to call it the public areas, but the areas that y'all enjoyed at one time, the views, okay? All right, is there anything else there?
Yes, my point of contention is that it was cut for years by this owner, and now for
By
whatever.
this owner,
I
No,
guess,
by a different one.
an owner.
previous owner, okay.
Whoever
Cecil
owned it.
Muse owned it, and he sold it to this company here.
Okay.
Right.
A person that is not affiliated with homeowner association, Castlewoods,
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with the golf course. I'm not expecting it to be manicured, but they did bush hog it. And there is always a dead tree. One falls and the next one starts dying.
Yeah.
But the fire hazard, we've had this burn ban, that would have been wonderful. Of course, there's snakes. There's all kinds of things up in there. Maybe drug deals. I have no idea. The grass is up to here.
Sure.
But just to have that view,
yeah.
like you say, and granted, you can't go on somebody else's property, but we were told that if we called the overlay department, that they could cut it and bill the owner. That was from, I guess, y'all, because I would call the board of directors and ask, supervisor, sorry. And so I don't know why I got that misinformation, so that's what I'm here on, because we heard about an overlay department.
Overlay.
Yeah, so, well, there's
We
an
don't-
overlay,
that-
there's an
All
overlay
the
district.
districts don't
that-
have overlay.
So the
just-
reservoir has an overlay district, and Castlewoods does
Yeah.
fall upon that. But the main thing is, this kind of falls back into the nuisance property side of that. There's nothing in the overlay district that would go into the nuisance categories, right? The main thing the overlay district does at the reservoir is it deals with a couple things. One's parking, two, signage, and things of that nature. But
Travel
something
trailer,
like,
motorhome.
but something of this nature right here would fall more into that nuisance category, right? That may lower your property values or affect the areas that's there, right?
Okay, I just know what I was told by
Yes,
y'all.
yes, ma'am. Well,
So, what can I say?
well, I'm trying to make it clear for, I'm trying to explain it to you, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how that falls. So that's where her department, Ms. Renee's office, comes in and they take a look at it. They also do, the overlay district as well, enforcement sides of that. So there's different protocols for each of them. Does that make sense? So as we put it back together on the same point, we're gonna do our best. The cutting that was done before, Cecil Muse did that on his own. We spoke to him a couple times, we asked him to do it, he did it, right? We didn't have the legal authority to make him go do it,
Right.
but we asked him to do it, and he did it on his own behalf. I don't wanna try to force somebody illegally to do something we don't have the power
Sure.
to make them do. But we definitely will communicate with them and ask them to try to maintain this in a little bit better
And
state.
what was the hearing that we'd have to go to ask
We'd have
them?
to file nuisance.
I'm sorry.
So we have to file a
It's a
nuisance.
private.
Yeah, so it'd be maybe more of a civil action. That-
Like civil.
And honestly, the HOA could take that civil
Yes.
action against this
Yeah.
section right here, even though this is not in the HOA, right? But the
think
HOA and
HOA 's
Castlewoods
that.
that we pay into, I don't
There's no
know.
reason they would be involved in it, I don't think.
Well, they do things, the HOA does have things that, try to protect the values and things of the neighborhood, whether or not this is an HOA piece of property or not. They have HOA property that touches next to it. For example, the back of Azalea Trails and Azalea Drive backs up into old number 8, number 9 fairway right there. So
Right.
it touches it, and part of their land touches that property. So they would have ability to go to it. So
Have they ever made contact with a new owner? I've heard more than a few times, everything's returned, the person is not gonna acknowledge.
We have, and they actually did cut it one time, just the area out by the road.
That's
we're-
meaningless. The neighbors
we're-
can do that.
We're gonna follow up.
Thanks.
Thank y'all.
record will reflect that action's closed, no action taken.
Okay.
Second item under nuisance consideration is Tamika and Frank Bennett, nuisance property, 336 Red Cedar Drive, this is District 4 property. Mr. or Ms. Bennett present. I believe I see them. Gentlemen, this piece of property has been reported on a number of occasions, and so Ms. Renee is going to demonstrate with the photos, and then I'll have more to say.
All right, so we received a complaint on September 28th. We received several complaints. This is in Reservoir East. So anyway, we got multiple complaints in Reservoir East about inoperable vehicles being placed or being stored on the property. You can see in these pictures, these were taken September 29th. And then these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday. That one car has just been moved out a little ways out front.
Is that car tagged and operable?
Well, they're backed in, so
Oh.
we can't tell.
Okay. Well, I think it's pretty obvious the truck is a nuisance, and it's on our agenda for a reason, so Craig,
Yes, sir.
proceed.
So let me give you guys a little bit more information here. You may recognize the name Tamika Bennett. She's your solid waste hearing officer. She actually is under contract with Rankin County to provide solid waste hearing officer services to the tax collector as a part of our solid waste program. And so there has been some interaction between Ms. Bennett specifically, who was contacted or who contacted after receiving the written communication from Ms. Renee's office about the condition of the property and the fact that complaints had been raised. Ms. Bennett contacted Ms. Renee's office, and she spoke with Ms. Kathy. And so I wanted Ms. Kathy to give you guys just a very quick synopsis of how that conversation went.
Let's hear
She doesn't want to do this,
Drum roll, please.
but I'm making her.
Welcome to the board meeting, Kathy. Say your name and address.
This is public comment. Go ahead.
Ms. Bennett called and was rather rude with me, telling me I needed to keep our business out of her property, that we had no right. I can't remember everything right off the top of my head, I'm sorry, but it was rather an interesting conversation.
Lots
She
of
did
foul
not
language.
indicate that she was going to handle the matter.
No, she said that there was no problem, they both ran.
Well, okay.
So after I heard that, I decided to kind of intervene just a little bit, and I suggested that we go ahead and formally set it. And I personally sent a letter to Mr. and Ms. Bennett informing them that we would be having this hearing today, and communicating to them that we expected them to come to the board. It was my intention to have Ms. Bennett be confronted with how she treated Kathy as a fellow county employee, and give you guys an opportunity to address that situation, which is kind of separate and apart from the condition of the property, but very disconcerting to me that an individual who works alongside other county employees would feel beholden to treat a fellow county employee in that manner, to use that kind of language. Ms. Kathy cleaned it up for you.
So is this in the overlay district?
No,
No,
just
sir.
Reservoir East.
It's not included?
Wow.
No.
So, gentlemen, to me, I think they moved the little Honda there just as a show that it is in fact operable. We still can't see the tag, and certainly we can't see the tag on the truck. And it's in the same location that it's been in for weeks, if not months. So multiple complaints about this property, and the stated intention of the property owner that they do not agree whatsoever with our characterization of the property condition as it relates to the inoperable vehicles. So I would ask you to please declare it a nuisance, and let's allow the justice court to take it And then at some point, it would be my hope that the board.
We'll deal with the
will-
rest of it.
Yeah, y'all have an opportunity to talk about the rest of it that has been brought to your attention today. So that would be my recommendation, gentlemen, unless there's someone.
Is
who
anybody
can speak on
here to
the
speak
item.
on this?
Okay, we'll close that public hearing, Mr. President. At this time, we can take action on the
Okay.
recommendation.
I want
I
to
think it'll forward.
take the personalities out, take the employment out. Let's vote to move it out of our office to the justice court, to where we're an employee or whatever is not a consideration. I make the motion to move it up the hill and declare it a nuisance.
Second.
All right, I've made the motion. Brad Calhoun seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. And Craig,
Yes, sir.
this is a pretty large subdivision, and over the years, not this house, I'm not pointing out one particular house. A lot of the houses have become rental houses. And there's been lack of maintenance in a good many areas there. They have not had a homeowners association because a lot of the people there don't want to fund it. And nice, super nice neighborhoods have built up around this neighborhood. I support the people that want to clean up. They're doing things in their private areas to enhance their drives that come in, and this isn't the only one. We will be looking at those out there. So if you have a home that you rent or you are an owner that doesn't rent, please take care of your property to where we don't have to come in here.
Yep.
All right, that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Mr. President, the next item under nuisance considerations is Charles Walker as registered agent of 1901 Gray Lane LLC. This is nuisance property. This is at 518 Terra Road. This is District 3 property. We'll open that hearing. I'll ask for Mr. Walker or anyone else on behalf of 1901 Gray Lane LLC to be prepared to come forward. My understanding is that there are individuals here who wish to speak on this matter who may be owners of property that are adjacent or in close proximity. And so we're going to structure this one a little different. Ms. Renee is going to demonstrate with the folks that live in proximity to the area to first come and address the board with their concerns.
All right, so we received a complaint August 29th. These pictures were taken on the 29th showing the condition of the property. We've had a complaint on this property before. The complaint was about inoperable vehicles being stored on the property or vehicles being stored there. It's not zoned commercial, you know. It's zoned, I think RE1. And so these are the new pictures that were taken on November 1st. Oh, well, it's a video.
Look at there.
And Jay's missing the video.
Sorry. Movie, Jay.
Jay's looking at it. He's got a screen here that he
You
can look at
surprised me.
while we're looking at that.
Okay, so she said there's two pictures. I thought Jay would be pleased with the video.
I would. Will you redo it so I can get full view?
Okay. How do I do it?
Call it butt when taking that video too.
Yeah.
That's a 25-mile-an-hour road.
Yeah.
Maybe it's somebody after him.
Let's see.
This part
Did a good job. Wasn't bouncing something down anything.
is,
Yeah.
There you go.
So we hope to start doing videos if that's what you'd like, but is this too fast? Would
Yes.
you like to slow it just a
Yeah,
little bit?
A little bit,
Okay.
yeah.
I'd put that joker in slow-mo mode.
Well, Kathy was the one who did that video, which was
Well,
really
just
good.
slow it down and go reverse.
How many acres is on this parcel right here, do you know?
We do, or we two acres.
2 acres.
So at
All right.
this time, I would ask for whomever wishes to address the board that is a neighbor to this property. You can come forward, please. State your name and address. Whoever wants to go first. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing, and I didn't hear what you
Come-
said.
Come
Come
on
forward,
up.
please.
Come on up.
He's been there before.
Good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
You'll give them your
Good morning to all of you, and I appreciate the fact that you're able to be here and support us, and I appreciate the fact that I am able to hear and speak, and I talk too much. If I get to a point where I've talked too much, then tell me to sit down.
We'll give you about 3 minutes.
3 minutes. All right, I will say this. We love our neighborhood, and we have some nice homes in our neighborhood. And I want to support anybody that's trying to make a living. I want her to make a living. But I don't want a trailer in our neighborhood that you can walk up and put your hand through the wall. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. It's been that way a long time, and it has not improved. I love the beautiful fence they put up there, but you see there on that bay window, hey, you put your hand in there. It's just not capable of housing anyone, and you can't spend money to make it work. So what we want to do is to be sure that we keep our neighborhood, and we have some nice homes in our neighborhood, and we get out there and clean it up.
All right, Mr. Hugh, for the record, will you just state your name and your address?
I'm Hugh Carr. I live on Joy Lane, which is right around the corner. And then I live within probably 150 feet of this house, of this property. And I don't know if you call that a house, but it's a place that somebody at one time lived. And they put a nice fence up, but now if they put the fence in front of that house so you couldn't see it, it make you feel a little better. They parked cars, and there was a photo there of a bunch of cars that were parked, and half of them jumped. Well, if they jump, they need to go somewhere else, not in our neighborhood.
All right, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Becky Marble. I live at 538 Tara. I have a much slower video, but it looks like this most of the time, and the grass is real tall. And the video you had is after he cleaned up. And when he cleans up, it's not too bad.
Right.
But he puts tires out at the road, and I don't think you're supposed to do that. You know, when I've got a picture of stacks of tires, and on Tara Road, whatever you put out there, people will pick it up, you know, but I just don't think it's right to do that. That's a business. And I had called several times when they first bought it, because the people who lived there before, that shop was not permitted. So they didn't have electricity to it. But the day the car people moved in, it had electricity. I don't think that's very fair, but maybe somebody came out to permit it after it was built. It doesn't have the water system that we do, because the people who lived there before, the water company would not let them have the water either. I had no problem with the people who lived there that didn't get the electricity or the water, because they lived in the trailer and it was nice. And I do have close-up pictures of the trailer and the tires. All the stuff under the windows, like Hugh said, you can just put your hand through. And behind the fence, this out here is nothing compared with what's behind the fence.
Well, nobody's living in a trailer now, are they?
No, but they told whoever, when they bought it as an LLC. And he put it on Facebook that he had a business. He loves little tiny cars like that little silver one. He moved from Pearl to this corner.
There's a problem.
Hey.
And he had his business in Pearl, but undoubtedly the people in Pearl didn't think it was a good idea. So he moved it to Brandon. And as far as I know, he still lives in Pearl, but I don't know for sure. But when he hears or somebody complains, he comes out and cuts the grass. He's planted all the little bushes. He planted magnolias and different things. But behind the fence, where all the lots more junk is, like there was a school bus back there, and he moved that. But there's a.
Is there a bunch of stuff behind the fence?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of junk, because his neighbor who lives, and she didn't come today,
she has rats and mice from it that she never had before.
Okay.
And that's one of the concerns, you know, that when you park stuff like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, is anyone else that's a neighbor that wishes to address the board? All right, this time I'd ask Mr. Walker or anyone representing 1901 Gray Lane to come forward and address the board. Apparently, we don't have anyone representing the owner of the property here today, Mr. President. I would suggest that you've seen the situation, a couple of.
I make a motion to declare it nuisance.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right,
This is a residential zone, so in addition to it.
Looks like it might be run a business.
I think there may be a zoning violation here, and clearly, you know, private license, appropriate zoning, conditional use application, whatever else has to happen here before we stage vehicles like this, that it's further to some sort of business operation. So we got to address it in two different prongs here. And so Ms. Renee and I'll talk about that.
all right. Jay Bishop makes a motion, Calhoun seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor of declaring this a nuisance? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And I mean, for the neighbors out there, they'll have to go to justice court now, and the judge he can fine them or whatever.
Or drop it.
Potentially put them in jail.
Could put them in jail.
Oh. All right, let's move on.
Item 4 is a continuation action, Mr. President. This is on John Cooksey, Allison Cooksey, and Atlanta Marie Parkman, nuisance property, 80 Sunny Cove. This is District 1 property. I think we've had this one previously, haven't we?
Correct. At the last meeting, we just gave some additional time to get them to finish things up, but these were the original pictures that were taken August 9th, showing the condition of the property. And these were taken September 27th, the day before the last nuisance hearing. And he had done some work. And so these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday.
Is this the man that lives in the RV?
Oh, it's a video too.
His girlfriend?
They were here at the last meeting, or the man was. Oh, and he's here today. Okay.
All right. Anyone to speak on the Cooksey matter can step forward and address the board. Looks like there's been some improvement.
Yeah. Run back across it, Renee.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I gotta look quick.
We didn't know how long you wanted the videos to go. We figured you wanted us to be quick.
I
so
love video.
We'll slow it just a little bit next time.
Good morning.
Good morning. State your name and address. I know you signed in, but for the record.
My name is John Cooksey. I live in Plato.
John, looks like you've been getting busy, man. Thank you.
I have been very busy on it.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of time on the money cleaning it up.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what other issues you might have with the property, I go ahead and take care of, because I want to be in compliance with statutes and everything.
Yeah.
The white car that sits there, that is a running vehicle. I need a water pump on it, but other than that, it's a running vehicle, it is tagged. Other than that, I got rid of all the rest of the vehicles that are on the property. I do have 2 campers there, that are gonna be moved. One of them belongs to my cousin, I'm trying to get him to come move it down, that's that small one right there. And that other one is back of the property there, it's gonna be tore down and taken out of there also.
How long you think before those 2 items?
Man, the small one, as soon as I get hold of my cousin, I'll get him to do something with it, I've been trying to get up with him. But the other one, it'll be gone within the next week or 2.
We've got the driest weather that I think we've ever had. So you've got a great opportunity. Can we?
Yeah, one
give
thing I
another
wanna, just
30
little
days?
things, I know because we're here, like, back up a little bit, where the gates land in the yard.
Oh, yes, those are.
Just fix that stuff. I mean, just stuff that looks obvious.
Yes, those are coming up,
Yeah.
I just laid them out there, because they were in my way, so I just
Right.
laid them out of my way, but yes, those will be.
Yeah, just clean them, like, got a pile of debris there that you can't burn.
Can't burn, right.
Right, and, but I mean, it looks like you're doing a lot. Just keep doing, and, because now that you're on the radar, they're gonna keep watching. You got a good bit of debris piled up in the back. What are you gonna do with
Gotta
that?
burn.
You're gonna burn them.
Burn.
Well, I don't know if you can burn there. That's what I'm asking.
Excuse me?
I don't even know if you can burn on that, I don't know if that's something you can burn on that lot.
Well, let's just move on.
but.
I have a farm.
You take care of it, and clean up all the little things, it's like you're doing real good, and I appreciate you making that effort. Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't go a long way.
Can we,
What can we do?
can we
Just-
give them another
some
30 or
more?
45 days?
We just need to keep monitoring, Steve.
Okay.
I think is the way to do
Yep.
this.
Yeah,
Yep.
And I
that'd be
appreciate
fine.
the fact that Mr. Cooksy's gotten busy. This is what we want to see whenever we have issues like this that get brought to our attention.
Sure
We
do.
like for the property owner to get in there, take responsibility and get after it, and it's the way the process is supposed to work. So I
That's a
wanna
good
say thank
example,
you to him for
good
that.
example, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get your water pump, get that car going.
Oh, yes, yes.
All right. Do I have a motion to table it for another?
I make a motion just to, table, just keep watching it
I'll monitor.
and just give him some
Monitor it.
time. He's monitoring it along, he's doing a real good job.
All right, do I have a
Like I
second?
I don't think we got.
Daniel seconds it.
said, just monitor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And, you know, when we're looking at this, and we're thinking of maybe neighborhoods or subdivisions that are high density, and like we were looking at Castle Woods, there's a whole different setting. This is in rural area that people have different lifestyles. And I have to respect that. And I do want it cleaned up and taken care of. And he is doing a pretty good job thus far. We can become too much government in telling us how we'll live. And I don't want to go down that path, but we do want to clean it up. Thank you.
Can I ask one?
Yes, Jay has a question.
Renee,
Sir?
why did we not have that place in Oak Road? That house that never touched their grass, weeds grown all in the front yard? I think it's on Post Oak.
I'm not sure, but
We'll
we'll,
have to check.
In Oak Road?
we'll have it on the 30th. I'm not sure either.
I just expected to see them over here.
That's why you showed up.
Sorry.
That was it, yeah. Came all the way over just for this. And Brad.
All right.
showed up for Brad, too.
Uh, I think we have concluded the business. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask a question about the place on Terra Road.
Come up and give your name and address for the
He's
record.
already been there once.
Well, this is a different matter, though.
No, it's fine.
It's the
Oh,
same
okay.
Marble 538 Terra. You said that that was not commercial property.
It's not zoned commercial, you know,
Because you had told me when I asked, you said if it is a business, they'll post a sign, you know?
well, if he was asking to
Yes.
change the zoning or something, we actually
We had
met
that
with him.
situation here probably 3 years ago that he came to the county wanting to rezone it. And we suggested him to go talk to the neighbors to see if it would be okay. And of course, y'all were against it. And so it's never been rezoned. It's residential zoning. And it doesn't allow for what he's doing on there. And, and
he's
so.
come before us trying
Yes,
to get it rezoned?
yeah. It started back when Bob was finishing
Yeah,
out
it's
and.
been about 3 years.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, the only thing that we've done is we declared it a nuisance, and it's gonna go to justice court. And so he'll go before the judge on that, and we'll give him our recommendations of.
Because I knew when
But
I
we're gonna
called,
also
they said he
follow
was
up
living
and reach out to him and make sure that he knows he cannot run a business out of a residential location, which it seems he's doing. So we'll be taking it from 2 different angles.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Right.
y'all for showing up.
We have now concluded this section of our meeting, and the next meeting be held November 30th at 9 a.m. Do I have a motion to recess out
So
of the
moved.
planning? All right, Jared makes a motion.
Second.
Bishop seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor of recess? Aye. Motion passes. Thank y'all for coming to this. You're welcome to sit.
Y'all can stay here as long as you want.
Hopefully this won't take long.
You won't, shouldn't, unless we got it.
All right. I'm gonna call our Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. And do we have any public comments for this?
Is anyone here to speak in public comment?
All right, we're gonna move on. Mr. Slay?
Couple of quick items, gentlemen. First, been approached by Entergy requesting the county's authority to place a power pole on a specific location on our property that's located on Marquette Road. And they have presented a proposed instrument, which is a right-of-way document. And I have
Have we come up with a number yet?
yeah, so my first inclination was to tell them that they couldn't afford any right-of-way that we were gonna offer to them. I think I have a better arrangement. What this is for, it's a power pole that is actually in conflict with the city of Brandon's trail, the trail that runs along Marquette in the Marquette right-of-way. It's in conflict with Brandon's placement designed for that connector trail that will make an entire loop for the city of Brandon's Quarry Park Trail System. So it's a great project for the city, but the pole that's located on county property is in conflict with that. And so they needed some additional right-of-way to be able to relocate the pole from its current location onto the county property.
Is this that trail that's supposed to be going right beside our EOC building?
It'll go in front along, like, just beyond where the roadside ditch is now.
It's not cut.
So what I am proposing that we do is transfer a utility easement to the city of Brandon.
Okay.
That is transferable then by the city of Brandon to Entergy. And the easement that we would provide is not a right-of-way. It's an easement that can be revoked at any point by this board. There is a responsibility here that at any point that it becomes necessary for any utility service placed on this easement to be relocated, that within a period of 90 days from the date of notification by the county, they are required to relocate that pole at their own expense, whoever has the pole. So this would be a simpler way to do this. Instead of us engaging in directly transferring a right-of-way as requested by Entergy or having to deal with Entergy, we're going to transfer it to the city of Brandon. That eliminates a lot of complexity for us anyway, because it's an intergovernmental transfer, and it doesn't require us to do anything special with respect to an alienation of a property right that belongs to the taxpayers of Rankin County.
Alright.
So this would be what I'm suggesting that we do. And so I just need authority for the board president to execute this 20-foot private easement to the city of Brandon, what will end up being a private easement to the city of Brandon. And then they can do with it whatever they choose.
And you need a motion on that?
I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Calhoun makes a motion, Bishop seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Second item under my section, gentlemen, is it's kind of an easy deal. This is a grant opportunity that's available to the Information Technology Department of the county. You're giving authority for whoever needs to sign it, to sign a grant application that would provide funding to the county, no match requirement that I know of, right? And it's funding that would be available to our information technology through the Department of Homeland Security. I just need authority to execute that, all required documents.
Make a motion.
Calhoun makes a motion,
Second.
Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Item I have,
Just for
one
a
item.
point of clarification, that grant agreement, we'll have one for IT and we'll also have one for EOC.
What are the grants for?
Just security, cybersecurity
Okay.
improvements.
You were saying, Craig?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've got one item that's very short in executive.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Hicks, would you like to take the podium, or you want to speak
Yeah,
from where
just-
you're sitting?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just real quick, these are some timing issues that we're trying to get before Monday. Item A is authority to pay registration fees in the amount of $200 for a deputy to attend the trap mate hidden compartment training. That's on November 6th in Hattiesburg.
Motion approved.
Second. All right. We have a motion by Bishop, a second by Gaines. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then item B is authority to pay registration fees for November 6th through the 17th in the amount of $500 for a deputy to attend the SWAT school.
All right, we have a motion.
So move.
Second.
All right, Bishop makes a motion, Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. All right, we will all review our agendas before our next meeting. Is there any additional business to discuss?
Is everything good on the election for Tuesday? The machine?
Yes, sir. We have LNA testing in the morning,
Okay.
and all the machines have been returned from being repaired and ready to go.
When?
So the ones that were damaged,
Today's birthday.
They've been fixed.
You get him some?
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it. I don't know how she knew it.
Hey, hey, can I mention one?
Yes, yes.
Y'all give me a present.
Young Timmy, do I want to bring this up now, or do you want to wait till Monday? Now's the thing. All right, so one thing I just wanted to make you guys aware of, and not really sure on what action to take on it. The Mill Creek project that's being done with the rock and all in the creek. It's right there to the very end of it. Those guys have done an incredible job. It looks fantastic. I mean, this will be the first project in my 8 years that was been finished on time. I mean, I say that. Something will happen right toward the end. But, so in the midst of going through.
I'm just glad you're almost finished and I still ain't been able to bid mine
You're
out.
not going to.
I
I'm
don't
telling you
have
right
a
now,
permit
if
for
you have a
mine.
Corps involved, I tried to tell y'all that that's where the project's going to die, right? All right, so look at me. On the same thing on the creek, we've got some issues that's come up, and it's dealing with the trees that weren't cut. And I'm very, not very informed on how this works, but throughout the creek, they cut down trees that were in the creek, right, and put the rock throughout. But around the creek, there are trees that weren't cut, that were just still there, that weren't actually in the project itself.
landscaping.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were still there. I guess they weren't in the creeks. I'm gonna call it the right of way of the creek.
Were they in the scope of work?
Well, not necessarily. They didn't affect the ability of the creek. The problem is when they brought all the heavy trucks and all around it, and Slade's got a fancy term for this that's called, but they've damaged the root system of these trees.
We told y'all
so-
that was gonna happen, by the way.
Yeah. What do you call that person that goes out and
An
figures it out?
arborist.
An arborist. So what can happen on this is an arborist comes back in and sees these trees where the root system, where they've driven around the root system and damaged the root system, that those trees are gonna have to be taken down. All right, so in our project put together, we didn't have that in the specs to take care of those trees that an arborist would declare that's gonna die down.
That's why we talked about it in here before we got too far into this project. I mentioned we may have to come back and address with the board the possibility that we skin or otherwise damage and put in motion the pending death of trees that are just simply gonna fall right over into the creek and create the very problem we're trying to resolve here. So we warned you guys that this was likely to happen.
Or can't they just do a change order?
Yes, and that's kind of what we talked about.
Well, this
I don't know.
project come in.
Yeah,
They've come in, yeah, it's come in below the number anyway, but so I guess that's kind of my thing. What I kind of need the ability to be able to do is to go back out and identify the trees that need to be cut. They've come to us and said some of them here, and they've given us a price of like $25,000, I think,
Right.
on the ones that they've seen. I'm not sure that they've gone through the whole creek and identified all the ones that are damaged. We need to do that, I think, as well. They're in a part to where they're fixing to be cleaned
Gone.
up and out of there. I mean,
Yeah.
so we kind of need to act pretty quickly. So I don't really know the right pathway. Was for Timmy or Slade to
Let me
point me
make
down the
one
route.
suggestion as, well, Tim, you may have something specific about.
No, I mean, obviously the golf course has been involved with the project because it's going right through it. And, the contractor has, in conversations with them and our guys in the field, they've come up with a, recommended change order, $25,000 to cut the remaining trees that were identified. Now, if there are any up and down the creek, we haven't heard that. I'm not sure really where that ends, but I do know this, the contractor's done. He's needing to get out of there, so if they're not identified by, really, what he had said today, he's gonna, I mean, we're gonna end up with a remobilization charge, because he's got to send his guys, I think, maybe to Illinois or somewhere. They're headed off a good ways off.
Probably
so.
going hunt.
It may be, yeah.
So what I was gonna suggest that we do
They want them gone?
Yeah. I mean, they're good with them being gone. I mean,
What I-
they know those trees are fatally wounded anyway, and they're gonna fall. They'd rather get them out.
Well, just
So
tell them to go
They're gonna
die.
die.
It's still within our contract budget.
Absolutely, and it's
Scope
within
of
the
work.
work zone, it just,
Yeah.
they didn't have to be cut to put the rock in there, they're just so close that with all the driving around them, these trees were actually by the driving range where they could go on both sides of them, so that
Yep.
they've gone around them, just in access and in and out, that's the issue.
Everybody recognized on the front end, including the golf course folks, that this construction activity was likely gonna damage some of the
Bigger
trees that
trees,
were
right.
not coming down.
It's pretty good size.
Some of them are pretty good size.
Logs, so they gonna probably hire a logger to come in and get them, or?
I don't know.
Well,
This amount of
well, here's the
trees,
thing,
I doubt.
they've cut these trees just similar to this that's on the creek, and their equipment's still there to do it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they've taken trees out the same size.
Are they
coming out
digging
of
the
there.
stumps up, or are they just
Let's
cutting?
go.
I have a recommendation on how we structure what we want you to do.
All right.
Number one, add to the agenda, a proposed, authority for the board president or the county administrator enter into appropriate change order for the purpose of removing the identified damaged trees along Mill Creek. That's
Make
number one,
motion, add
make
that
that
item.
add.
Second.
All right. Jay makes a motion to add this to the agenda, the proposed removal of damaged or dead trees that resulted in the construction. So we need to add it, and Jay makes a motion. Daniel seconds the motion. Any other discussion?
Well, I can tell you, there's probably gonna be some more dead
There's
trees
gonna be
because of
more,
the
yeah.
drought. All the trees on the side of the roads are dying.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Aye.
All right, all in favor?
The birthday guys vote.
All right.
One thing
Motion
I would-
passes to add it. Now I need a motion to
Motion to
approve.
approve.
Jay makes a motion
Let
to
me-
approve.
Let
So-
me make sure that your motion is complete. The trees that have been identified, it's important.
Yeah,
Right?
because I
We're
don't
not
wanna be
paying for
taking them ones
trees
down up here.
6 months
Yeah,
from now.
that's not on, yeah,
Right.
and that's the thing, that's why I think we need to go out and look at be sure we know, we get it all at one time. I don't wanna come
Yes.
back, or Doodle has to come back and fix it, so
Right.
it's.
So
it's
what
one
I
of those
need
things
some
that's gotta
direction on
happen,
is
so.
this, before we structure our motion. Right now, we've seen trees, and they've been identified by the golf course folks and by the folks that are out there that looked at it. I guess your folks have looked at it as well.
Absolutely.
They've identified trees, specific trees, and there has been an estimate given of 25 grand to get them on the ground and get them off, okay? So what I'm hearing, however, is we may want to take advantage of an opportunity to make sure we get everything that we can see today is a dead or dying tree.
As a
and
result
get
of
'em-
this project,
yeah,
of this
right.
project.
As a result of this
So
project.
is 25,000 gonna get it? Probably not. I need you guys to think about what is a not to exceed number.
50.
Yeah.
Then your motion will be this, to remove identified trees or any trees that can be identified in the next 2 days.
and the money's gonna be coming out of the
Same-
ARPA
same
Out of
project.
ARPA project.
Same process.
And it's, so it's not to exceed 50,000. That's what your motion
I'll
will
make
be.
that motion.
Second.
All right. Jay Bishop makes a motion. Daniel Cross seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. We do have a need to go in executive. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, go into the executive session.
All right. Do I have a second? Calhoun makes a motion. Jay Bishop seconds that motion to go in, that we have a need to go in executive session. All in favor?
I make a motion, to go into executive session.
All right.
Personnel and litigation.
Second.
Calhoun makes a motion, to go in executive session for litigation and personnel. Bishop seconds that motion. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.